Let's get to the news. The Democratic National Committee released their party platform document yesterday, which was written before President Biden dropped out of the race, which explains why Bring Back Columbo was still in there. Hillary Clinton spoke tonight at the Democratic National Convention. They decided to have her speak on Monday because they knew she just couldn't handle another balloon night. MyPillow founder Mike Lindell said yesterday that he's going to shave his mustache in order to go undercover at the Democratic National Convention. Because don't forget the first rule of going undercover, tell everybody first. I'm from Paris, France. According to a new poll, 8% of Michigan voters said they would support a third-party candidate, adding, is there a fourth party? While campaigning yesterday in Pennsylvania, Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz stopped at a convenience store for Doritos. Harris got the nacho cheese, and Walz opted for extra plain. A portion of a highway in California was closed last week after a truck overturned and spilled hundreds of boxes of raisins onto the road. Now what'll we do? Said the worst house on Halloween. Bad news, kids, it's Kit Kats. The organizers of the annual Naked in a Cave event held in upstate New York have announced that this year's gathering will be the last. Apparently, the one thing the organizers feared finally came to pass. Someone finally told the attendees about beaches. Oh, yeah, this is way better. And finally, a woman in Massachusetts recently gave birth on the side of a highway and had her husband cut the umbilical cord in the parking lot of a Dunkin' Donuts. The mother is said to be doing well, and the baby is said to be the new mayor of Boston. President Biden spoke at the Democratic National Convention last night. He gave a rousing speech that lasted for 45 minutes. And I gotta say, it was a little like running into someone a month after you broke up with them, and they look good, and they're funny, and they're fiery, and you think to yourself, I'm still glad we broke up. But good for you, good for you. In his speech last night at the DNC, President Biden thanked First Lady Dr. Jill Biden and told the crowd that his heart still beats a little faster whenever he sees her coming down the stairs, and when Joe's on the stairs, everyone's heart beats faster, too. The primetime program of the Democratic National Convention ran late last night, and President Biden did not speak until after 11 p.m. Eastern Time. But hey, just because something's on late at night, it doesn't mean it's not important. You know? I mean, people stay up if they really want to see something, right? Or, at least watch it on YouTube the next day. During President Biden's speech last night at the DNC, delegates held up signs that read, "We love Joe" and "Thank you, Joe," and then after an hour, held up different signs. While getting a cheesesteak yesterday at Pat's King of Steaks in Philadelphia, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance asked an employee why they don't serve the sandwich with Swiss cheese, and NBC could now project the state of Pennsylvania for Kamala Harris. U.S. intelligence agencies confirmed yesterday that Iran attempted to hack former President Trump, President Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris's campaigns. Damn! RFK even being left out of that. And it would be so easy with facial recognition to hack him. You just hold up a baseball glove. Disgraced former Congressman George Santos pleaded guilty yesterday to wire fraud and identity theft, and just for the attention, the attack on Nancy Kerrigan. Britain's Prince William has reportedly not spoken to Prince Harry in almost 2 years. Of course, for two men, that's a completely normal amount of time. Want to talk to your brother? Start a podcast, right? That's what I did. An archaeologist in Turkey recently discovered what is believed to be an itemized receipt dating back to the 15th century BC. And this is weird, it even contains a link to a brief survey. Always do it. That's something you can expect from Myers. I'll always take the brief receipt survey, because it matters. And finally, a cat that had been missing for several weeks was recently found 10 miles from his home in Boston. which, if nothing else, should give you an idea about the traffic in Boston. Democrats formally nominated Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz last night at delegate roll call, and let's just say the energy has shifted.
Turn out for what?
Damn! The music for Biden was just going to be the game over noise from Mario Brothers. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz spoke tonight at the Democratic National Convention to let everyone know they could save 20% on their heating bill if they switched to storm windows. Last night was the second night of the Democratic National Convention where the theme apparently was, "She married that nerd?" Former President Trump said yesterday that he's certainly open to giving independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a cabinet position if he ends his third-party campaign. Like what? Secretary of the Interior? That guy thinks the endangered species list is a menu. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke last week at a Crypto for Harris virtual town hall, and there's nothing quite like hearing a man who uses a flip phone talk about the future of cryptocurrency. Someday you won't even have to carry your Diners Club card in your billfold. Today was actress Kim Cattrall's 68th birthday. 68? Call me when it's time for 69. That was you could probably tell because I'm really good at object work, that was a Cosmo. The world's oldest known living person has died in Spain at the age of 117. Guys, always test your cocaine. How psyched do you guys think I was when 3 of you went, "Aw"? Don't awe the setups, guys! The funny thing is, like, when they awed, I was like, "Oh, right, a person died." Right. Starbucks has announced that its pumpkin spice latte will be available in all stores tomorrow, and this time around it's available in tall, venti, and Ashley. And finally, according to a new survey, 36% of dog owners said that their pet acts as a psychologist, mostly because their cat won't accept their insurance. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz last night formally accepted the Democratic nomination for vice president. He's calling it the second greatest honor of his life. In his speech last night at the Democratic National Convention, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz told the crowd, quote, "Never underestimate a public school teacher." He's right. My mother is a public school teacher, and she can drink way more than you think. Today was Vice President Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff's 10th wedding anniversary, so good luck thinking of a good gift for the 11th, Doug. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spoke last night at the Democratic National Convention to cheers and one loud boo. Ah, would have been fine. Former President Trump traveled today to Arizona to tour the southern border, supposedly to highlight the immigration issue, but he might have also been looking for weak spots in the fence. Oh, I could squeeze through here and boom, next stop, Tijuana. Researchers in Texas recently discovered bearded fireworms on several beaches, which are normally only seen on nude beaches in Ireland. I have some bad news. That's the one you're going to take home with you. The fast food chain Chick-fil-A is reportedly in talks to start producing TV shows. Man, what's next? Is Chipotle going to get into the restaurant business? And finally, a San Francisco man was arrested recently after he allegedly broke into an FBI truck and stole a gun, flashbang grenades, and a camouflage ballistic vest and traded them all for $20 worth of crystal meth. In case you were wondering how awesome meth is. That was a monologue,